Hey everybody, it's a pleasure and honor to be here with 17-time Grand Slam champ Gigi Fernandez. Really excited to have her on. Really appreciate you uh, giving us your time, each year for the summit. So, how are you doing, Gigi?
I'm great. Happy to be here talking tennis. It's been long 6 months, but I'm back on full board on the man after as my house flooded during the hurricanes. But just the last couple of weeks, we got the front door installed, and life is slowly getting back to normal.
Good, good. Yeah,
So
we've been following your Instagram, and it's been tough to see, but I'm just glad that you're all, safe and sound. That's the main thing.
yeah.
So,
Well,
yeah.
I'm gonna plug tennis for hope right away because the good thing that came out of the hurricane was that I just decided to form this foundation called Tennis for Hope to help people that have been affected by natural disasters deal with the situation because I was completely unprepared. Just as was everybody in the west side of Florida. We're not expecting it. But after the fact, I was just feeling really obviously upset and depressed and all that. But I was still feeling lucky that I was able to start the renovations in my house immediately and didn't have to wait for insurance checks to arrive. And I know there's still thousands and thousands of people here that are still waiting. So I just felt the need to do something and started the foundation. And then the LA fires hit, and of course we had to come to action because that's why we formed it. And we donated $50,000 to LA Fire Relief, and working with a great board that's kind of helping that project along. So it's been rewarding.
Yeah, that's amazing. Out of those hardships, you've created something awesome, and I put the link in the chat so people can check that out. But
Yeah,
yeah,
thank you. It's
great.
a
It's,
it's a membership
mhm.
model, so you join the organization for a 3-year commitment, and there'll be fun things that we'll do as members. But it's a good gift back, and the have tapped into the USDA a little bit and their resources. So I think it's going to be a great organization all around. Long term, I mean, we're just getting started, but it's got a great long term vision.
Yeah, good stuff. Yeah, I'm checking the website
Yeah,
out now. Looks good. Looks good. Awesome,
yeah.
Gigi. Well, yeah, everyone check that one out. The link and yeah. So Gigi, I've got a
Let's talk
bunch of questions.
tennis.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. While we wait for people to stream in, I've got a bunch of questions for you on my note sheet
Okay.
here. So I guess just to dive straight into it, I mean, you've had so much incredible experience, gold medals, Grand Slam championship. So how do you mentally prepare for a high pressure doubles match?
Um, well, I mean, the fact is you want to prepare for any match the same way. Like you don't want to prepare differently for a high pressure one because you're immediately telling your body and your brain that this one's more important, and you have to fight really hard to try to make every match of equal importance. And you do that by having routines and by having uh, very set routines or oh my God, I've lost the word. When you do something over and over again,
Oh, habits.
rituals. There's
Oh,
another
rituals.
word starts with an S. My God, I can't think of it. But I did the same thing over and over again. Woke up at the same time, ate at the same restaurants. Ate the same amount of hours before the matches, practiced the same amount of time. Um, had basically the same pre-match warm up. Was very structured and always the same. So then when you go play a big match, it's the same thing. Like you don't want to think that this is a big match because you want to try to take the pressure off as much as possible. And then once you get in the match, the key is to just think about the next point that you have to play and just only be thinking about the next point. Never think, you know, 2 games ahead or I mean, what we all do is we think about the match point, right? We think about winning and losing when we're playing a match and how we're going to get through this match and win it. And as much as possible, you can just try not to think about too much in the future and think about just winning the next point. That should help.
So, in terms of, having the rituals, I mean, what are the benefits? So, I guess one benefit you mentioned is that it conserves like your brain power in a sense, like you don't have to like think about stuff. And then is it also like a calming effect as well to go with that?
Yeah, it's. I think what we try to do as athletes is control what you can control. And you can definitely control what you're doing with your body, like how you're walking, how you're fixing your strings, how you're bouncing the ball. And it's just sort of that sense of being in control of something that sort of eases the mind because clearly you can't control the outcome of a match. It's impossible. Like, I mean, again, because that happens on the match point. Like you could be winning, but you still could lose, right? Um, so you try to just worry about playing the next point and playing the next point to your best of your ability. And you when you finish that one, you try to play the next point to the best of your ability and so forth. So I always tell people if they can play an entire tennis match and just think about and nothing else, but I have to win the next point, and I have to win the next point, and I
Mm,
have to win the next point, they'll probably play the best tennis of their life. If they can
mm,
just have that one thought and not any other thoughts, not I blew it, I should have served there, they went down the line, I should have gone cross court, my toss is wrong, my forehand's this, my backhand's that. Just eliminate all those thoughts and figure out that you got to win the next point.
mm. And it's obvious that it's bad to do these things to look in the past or to look to like issues you're having perhaps. But what's the effect of doing that? Like, I just want to like highlight it. Like when you do these things, like what happens to your game?
Well, first of all, you're out of focus because you can only worry about the present moment, right? If you're thinking about the past, there's nothing you can do with the past, right? It already happened. And there's nothing you can do about the future. It's down the road. It's 20 minutes away or an hour, or however long this match is going to take. So you've just taken the focus away from the task at hand, which is winning the next point, right? And being in the present and trying to hit the best serve possible, trying to hit the best return possible. I think if you talk to all the great champions in tennis, they had that same quality that they were just really focused on winning the next point. In fact, Roger, when he did his graduation speech at
Mm,
Dartmouth, I think it was last year, and he talked about that, like the importance of not giving that much importance to any one point, because even the great Roger lost 46% of all the points he played, and he's the best
mhm,
player in the one of the best players in the history of the game. So that's just tennis is brutal. The scoring system in tennis is brutal. I guess you could win more points than your opponent and lose the match, or win less points and win it. So so it's just trying to take away the importance of the big points and just try to play them all the same.
yeah, very wise words, Gigi. Let's see. We got some folks in here. Andrew, hey Gigi, here, Marvon. Hey Andrew. Millie,
Garcia,
hi.
Thomas. Oh yeah.
Oh, are you seeing
And oh,
these?
Andrew's here. Hi, Andrew.
There you
Andrew,
go.
Andrew and Heather came to my Virgin Islands camp. Probably the funnest camp I've ever done.
Oh,
We had 5 days, 3 days in St. Thomas and 4 days in Virgin Gorda. That was a fun one.
wow.
Trying to
Wow,
see
that
if we'll
sounds
do it again or
incredible.
not. So yeah,
Oof,
he was in there.
that's cool. That's cool. Very
Yeah.
cool. Oops. Let's see. Abhinav, what do you think about before a match?
So you want to have your pre-match kind of scouting report, right? You ideally your game really well, so you don't have to analyze that. But if you are kind of newer to tennis, like figure out what your strengths are, and you always want to play to your strengths, and then try to figure out the weaknesses of the opponent if you have a way to scout them or know anything about them.
Mm,
Before the match, I was really just meditating. I was just trying to stay calm.
mm,
I used to try to, once I started to meditate, which was 1992 was when I started meditating, like right before I went on my sixth Grand Slam run, six Grand Slam wins in a row and the Olympic gold medal in that stretch where I was kind of learning how to meditate.
mm,
So just trying to relax and trying to, frankly, not think too much about it, really. I mean, just again, you're, as conditioned athletes, you're once your match time comes, that's what you're looking forward to. So you're excited um, but before the match, you just want to try to stay calm.
mm. Just to dive in a little deeper to your meditation routine. I mean, was yours pretty simple, or did you have like a specific, kind of meditating
Yeah, so I
that you
went
did?
to the Deepak Chopra Center and learned transcendental meditation. So I had
Mm,
a mantra that was assigned by guru, and I just repeated this two-syllable mantra for 20
wow.
minutes. And at first it was very difficult because my mind would just wander and it would go off into my list of things that I had to do. And then I would kind of bring it back to the mantra. And what I've discovered happened over time. At first I used to get really mad at myself for my mind wandering, and then what I discovered over time, I learned how to not get mad at myself and just bring it back and just sort of remove the emotion of the mistake, right? Because when you fall out of meditation, it's a mistake. So that translated it amazingly into the tennis court, because I used to get so mad about losing points or hitting the wrong shot or whatever it was, and
Mm.
I was able to change that thought for another and remove the emotion. And meditation, that's what meditation taught me, how to change one thought for another without judgment or emotion. So um and also when you meditate, you're slow down your breathing, so your system itself is kind of de-stressing. It's getting, the deeper you breathe, the more oxygen you have in your uh flowing through your body. So that was also very helpful before matches, to start out a match kind of with a full tank.
Wow, that's really cool. Definitely encourage people to check that technique out. That sounds, I mean, a huge impact for you.
Yeah. I mean, you
That
don't have to have a mantra. You could just think about your breathing. Like you can
mm,
do the 4-point breathing, like in for 4 seconds, hold for 4 seconds, out for 4 seconds, in for 4 seconds, hold for 4 seconds, out for four
oh
seconds.
yeah,
And you could do that for 20 minutes and just think of, count or think. Um, Start with 5 minutes, because 20 minutes is a long time.
yeah.
It doesn't sound like it, but it's a long time to sit and just think of your breathing. So maybe start with 5 minutes, and get good at that, then go on um, to 10 minutes and so forth.
Yeah, that sounds good. I think I'm gonna do this after this session. I need a little relaxation
Little
meditation
relaxation,
session.
right? And you feel so good afterwards. You really feel so good afterwards.
Yeah, that's very true. I think the 4 in, 4 hold, 4 out, etc. is the box breathing. They call that too, but
Yeah,
I'm not
yeah,
100%
box
sure.
breathing.
Yeah.
Oh, superstitions. That was it. Thank you, Mike. That's the word I was trying
Oh.
to get. Oh, you had all these superstitions.
Oh.
My God, it was like, but again, they're like part of your rituals, and you do them over and over again, so you know that you've done all your things. And also, a lot of a big part of what you do before matches is not the day before, not the hour before, it's before, like all the practice and all the training and all the conditioning, so that when you walk into the match, or into the court for a match, you know that you've done everything absolutely possible to get ready for that moment. So you're not
Yeah.
panicking, trying to do things last minute.
Yeah, I have that confidence. We have a training center near me called Junior Tennis Champion Center, and they have the motto is "Trust your training." So it made me think of that.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, good stuff. Let's see. Zibig, sorry if I mispronounced. Gigi, are there two types of volleys? One for shots at you that are high and floating. You hit that towards your target and follow through upwards, brush upwards behind the ball.
Yeah, there's
Hmm.
definitely more than one type of volley. And so I always talk about the three different positions you can hit a volley from. You can hit about kind of a high volley, I call it, above the shoulder. So anything up here, kind of waist level volleys. So anything between your shoulder and your knees, and then something below the knee, or knee kind of lower leg before. So the key to all three of those volleys, the swing path is different on all three, right? So on the high volley, you swing, and if you think that this is position 3 and this is position 2, and then the low one's position 1, they all end in the middle position. So if you have a high volley, you go 3 to 2. If you have a kind of waist level volley, your swing path is more parallel to the ground. And if you have a low volley, then your swing path has to come up so that you can clear the net and get the depth that you need. Um, and then there's also volleys when you're stationary, you're just standing there, the balls come to you and you're just like kind of blocking it. There's transition volleys that you have to move your body through the ball as you're moving forward into the net. There's half volleys where the ball has bounced and you kind of hit um, a volley that just hit the ground. So it's called the half volley. So there's definitely lots of different
Mhm.
types of volleys. It looks simple, but it's not.
Yeah, yeah, you made it look easy.
Yeah.
How about the transition volleys? I feel like that's one of the ones that club level players struggle with the most. Any tips for that?
I think the transition volley is less is more. You don't want to have
Mm,
big swinging volleys in transition, like because really your body's moving through the shot, and that's where you get your power. Um, and that's what's moving. It's your body, not your arm. Like you're not swinging at it. Your arm is kind of still, and as your body moves through it, then your arm kind of goes with it. Um, but definitely less is more. You're not going to win the point on transition volley. rarely you're going to win a point with transition volley, unless it's really high and you're hitting a swinging volley and you have, a great forehand ground stroke out of the air, basically. You might hit a winning volley on transition, but you're transitioning to the net. It's just a setup shot, so you want to hit it deep, preferably in the middle, and get yourselves to the net for the next volley.
Excellent. So, Abhinav has another one. What do you think when you're in the match? I know you mentioned like basically focusing on the next point. Was there anything else besides that that you thought about during the match,
Mm.
or ideally should think about? I know you probably thought about a
So,
lot of stuff.
I mean, I can answer. I could take me an hour to answer that, right? Because it depends on
Yeah.
at what point, right? So,
Mm,
you're over. First of all, your thoughts. You have 25 seconds between points, right? So, what you're doing in that time, that's really the only time you're thinking, right? Because hopefully you're not thinking while you're hitting the ball. And some people do. Some people think of technique when they're hitting the ball, which you don't want to do. Once the point starts, you kind of want to let it flow. Um, and your thoughts vary depending on what situation you're in. If you're trying to serve, I have some thoughts. If I'm trying to return, I have different thoughts. But by and large, there were like, if I could put it in a sequence, those 25 seconds, different things should be happening in the same sequence. Like the first thing that happens when the point ends, you have to chill. Whether you won the point, lost the point, whether you have a positive feedback, even if you lost the point, you should have positive feedback. Smile at yourself, like try to make it positive, and that takes 1 or 2 seconds. So I call this the crave sequence. So it's chills, routines, analyze, visualize, execute. So first you chill, then
mm,
that's 1 or 2 seconds. Then you start your routines. You're walking around, whether you step in line or whatever your routines are. Then you analyze you analyze what happened the last point. Did you win it? Did you lose it? How did you win it? How did you lose it? What was good? What was bad? Etc. And then you figure out what you're going to do in the next point. You have to think about how you want to play the next point. Don't just toss up the ball and play. Like you want to know if you're going to serve to the forehand, serve to the backhand, return and come in, attack their backhand, bring him up, lob him, whatever it might be. You have to have that already sort of pre-thought out. Um, then then the V is you visualize before the point starts. You want to have quick visualization. If you're serving, it's a lot easier because you just kind of hit the best serve ever in your brain before you hit it. And then you have to execute, obviously. And to execute, you need to have trigger words. And trigger words are words that you repeat in your head that elicit some behavior in your body. Like, for example, everybody has tendencies under pressure. Everybody chokes. There's never a player that didn't ever choke. All right. So everybody has different variations of choking. And choking, I don't mean in the negative sense, but we all tighten up in a certain way. And when we tighten up, um, some things happen and it's different to everybody. Some people's toss goes wayward. Some people can't toss. Some people, like for me, for example, when I was serving, my left arm would come down and just a little bit too soon. My left arm would come down, so then I would hit the top of the tape. So I knew that. So then my trigger word on the
mm,
serve was left arm up. So as I'm going through my bounce, getting ready to serve, my last thought was left arm up. Now that had a triple benefit. The first one is that because I'm saying left arm up, well, of course I'm going to keep my left arm up. The second one is because I'm thinking left arm up, I can't think of the thought that I don't want to have, like don't double fault. And then the third one, and probably the most important one, is because I'm thinking left arm up on the first point, the second point, the fifth point, the 10th point, and the match point, then all points are the same. And match point doesn't have any more significance than any other point in your brain, ideally. So that's just some of the things I was thinking. And then I was thinking, all I had negative thoughts. I mean, obviously nobody's perfect. How can you miss that? You know, you smart. And then my partner, how can she miss that? Right. But you have to let it go. That's in the first 2 seconds, right? You go, how can I miss that? Okay, 2 seconds, on to the next one. On to the next, analysis. Why did I miss it? How do I make it better next time? So
mm-hmm. I think when we were talking in the doubles, or sorry, tennis con live, I mean, you did have some stages where you were, you did have like a temper, right? And then you'd
oh
kind of like
yeah, I had a
change.
terrible
Yeah,
temper, which is why I had to
yeah,
spend so much time on the mental part of the game because I
right.
I mean, I used to pay my fines to the WTA before the year started.
Yeah, that's right.
And that's not a story, that is actual fact.
Smart.
So,
Yeah,
you know.
don't get any late fees.
Well, what
uh,
it was, it's like I knew that I was gonna get warnings. Like, when I was playing, it was used to be warning you have 5 warnings throughout the year. You
mm,
have 5 warnings, and you would
oh,
just get a letter every time you had a warning. Back mail letter, not even an email. And then by the fifth one, then you had to send a check. Then you're now you've been fined. You got some money. So I used to get warnings because warnings used to calm me down because it used to be warning point default or warning point game default. So and then your first infraction warning, second infraction, you lose a point. Now I didn't want to lose a point. So as soon as I got the warning, then I would calm down. So I would almost purposely get warnings because I needed that to calm myself down. So then I would just spend the money ahead of time. Here's the money. Let me know when I owe you some more money.
There you go.
So
Oh, that's
yeah.
so funny.
Let's get
Let's
Jamie's
see.
question.
Oh,
Jamie.
Jamie.
Hi
Yeah,
Jamie.
sure.
Yeah. Hi Jamie
Hi,
from San
hey,
Francisco.
Jamie.
She's coming to she was in Labor Cup a couple of years ago.
Oh, awesome, awesome,
And
beautiful.
the safari. Oh my gosh, this safari was awesome. Safari.
You have the best trips. That's so
I
cool.
know safari was
Um,
awesome.
That's amazing. During practice, should I focus mostly on ground strokes or serve and returns, or is it
Yeah,
not
I
that
wanted to I
simple?
wanted to answer that because most recreational players spend a lot of time in practice clinicking, like they're
Hmm.
four and a core, they're have a pro, and when you clinic, you're very cooperative, right? You're always friendly and cooperative when you're in a clinic. So be careful with always hitting the ball to people when you're in a clinic because you're trying to keep the point going. Like make sure that at some point during the clinic, you always want to compete. Like, when I do my camps and my clinics, every drill that we do, we spend, 3 or 4 minutes or however long it takes for the people to get the drill, and then we compete. And then you can really go for your shots. And the serve and the return is highly under practice. I would say if the quickest way to improve in tennis is to practice a serve and return. Like just go hit
Yeah.
bucket of serves and have a pro serve to you and hit a bucket of returns. Like if you did that 3 times a week, if you took an hour 3 times a week and just hit serve and returns and nothing else, you might be bored. It might get boring for some people, but it's the quickest way to get better because it's a shot that you hit every point. Every point you have to serve, every point you have to return. So if you can improve those, um, I think quickest way to improve. So yeah,
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
icing, so I
Definitely.
gotta take the ice out of my
Oh yeah. Yeah. He's still an athlete. It's good.
well,
Um.
trying to be.
Yeah. So, probably technical question, I think. Second type of volley for everything else, you just let the ball hit a moving racket head while making racket be a mirror to reflect the ball to wherever you want. Is there more? Is this correct? I don't know if this was building on what the types of volleys you mentioned earlier
Yeah.
or
So uh yeah, Jamie just texted me. You're welcome, Jamie.
nice.
She said thank you. Um Let's see. Yeah, so with the volley, the less again, less is more, like the less movement that you can have. If you look at the backswing and the volley, really when you have the backswing and the volley, when you set the racket to start the forward motion into the volley, you should see the racket. So if you think about it, you're here. Do I have a racket? Yeah, I do have a racket. So you have the your backswing on the volley, it's right there. I can still see it. Here I can't see it. And that looks like a normal backswing, right? That looks like a normal backswing, way too long. Like
Mm,
here's where it needs to be, right? So I encourage people to just do less with their volleys. Just try to simplify it. And it's a very compact stroke. It just goes from there to there, and that's it. There's none of this, extra movement with the racket and none of something finishing over here. Like it's really there, 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 there.
You know what's crazy? I play a ton of USTA, obviously, play 5-0, but a lot of mix and whatnot. And there's some, especially ladies. I can't think of males at the moment, but they'll face a ground stroke at the net and they'll hit a swinging volley like against it, and I'm just like amazed at the timing. Like, how can they
At the new,
hit that?
yeah. I mean, these
Yeah,
players nowadays, it's like it's a whole other system. I don't know what they're playing. Something. Well, with the doubles. I don't know. I mean, I still have strong opinions about what I see.
Hmm.
And encourage people not to play doubles how they see players play on TV because we don't. Most people watching this podcast don't have those ground strokes, right? So
Yeah.
really good doubles still wins at the normal near mortal level. So
Hmm.
watch videos of those players in the 90s and early 2000s, maybe 80s, before it became the power game.
Mhm.
And even before Venus and Serena started, they were so powerful. Like they were really the first doubles team to win by sheer power. Um, so watch doubles matches before that to see how kind of traditional doubles was played.
Hmm. That's a good idea. Just a quick one. Do you have an idol, tennis idol when you're growing up, or was it just yourself?
Do I have no, not myself, clearly not. I didn't grow up. Um, I grew up in an island in the middle of the Caribbean where there was no role models. I didn't really know that. I didn't know what professional tennis was. I mean, this is in the 70s, right? I was born in 1964, so
Mm,
um, tennis was not what it is now. Obviously, it just wasn't a thing. Now once I went to college and saw that I potentially had the possibility of being a pro, then Martina became my idol because I loved her style. I was aggressive like her, serve and volleyer, and she was the best player in the world. So of course everybody wants to be like the best player in the world. So she became my idol.
mm.
Now she's my friend.
Oh, that's cute.
Oh yeah.
Um, let's see. Okay, thanks for that. Christopher, hello again. What was your greatest challenge transitioning from being an amateur player to a pro player?
Oh, losing. That was my greatest challenge because I didn't
Yeah,
lose very much.
rage.
Yeah, I didn't lose very much as a junior. And then I went to college and I lost 2 matches all year, made the finals in NCAAs. So I don't know, I probably lost 15 or 20 times in my entire life. And then you go play and you guess what? You're losing every week, twice a week, singles and doubles, lose. So that was the
Yeah.
biggest challenge. I used to go berserk and just down in the press and learn,
Oh.
I just hadn't learned. I was immature, obviously, and I didn't understand that losing was or learning opportunities, and you can only get better by losing. Like if you're always winning, you're not going to improve anything. So um, if you're playing in a league where you always win, you're playing in the wrong league. You need to start losing, play better players that beat you, so you can see what they're doing better, and you can figure out what you need to do to get better. Um, so yeah, I'd say that, and then also, and of course, then all the travel. All constantly being on the road and sort of managing that, which is not nothing, and being homesick and 42 for 44 weeks out of the year on the road. Um, Trying to stay fit through that was not easy because breakfast, lunch, and dinner out is can be challenging. So yeah, to looks glamorous sometimes, but it's a bit of a grind actually.
Mhm. Mm,
So,
people don't realize
but
that.
a good grind, yeah,
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
yeah.
Accomplished a lot. Vubat, what do you say when your partner who's better than you keeps telling you to guard the line instead of the middle? Hmm.
Well, how much better? How much better? That's what I want to know. Um, well, I don't know. That's a loaded question because I'm not a proponent of watching your alley, as you know. I think it's the hardest shot in tennis, and I don't teach players to follow the ball. I teach players to do the opposite, which is cover the middle. So if your partner's better, a lot better, and they're just trying to take control of the court, I guess you have to do that. But it's not good doubles. I mean, it's not. I don't know. Hard to answer. There's too many variables. Is it mixed doubles? Are you a 4-5
Mm.
playing with a 3-5? Are you trying to win? Is it an important match that you have to win, or are you just playing for fun? Like, are you trying to make it a national? Like, there's too many. I can't answer that. Too many variables. But by and large, don't watch your alley. That's what I say.
Mhm. Yeah, I agree. I agree. It's a tough shot for them to hit into. Andrew, good question. What do you attribute to moving from a Grand Slam contender to a Grand Slam champ?
Easy answer. Learning to meditate. No question about it. I
Hmm.
went to in April of '92. I went to the Deepak Chopra Center. And I was invited by Martina Navratilova and Billie Jean King, and I didn't know what the heck Ayurvedic medicine was or who Deepak Chopra was, but I knew that I was going to go train with them, so that was kind of good enough for me. And there I learned transcendental meditation that I already spoke about, and I also learned diaphragmatic breathing from the
Mm.
diaphragm. That was in April of '92. I won the French Open in June or May, Wimbledon in July, the gold medal in Barcelona in August, the US Open in September, the championships in November, the Australian Open in January. all within like an 7 to 8 month period learning how to meditate. So it was that. It was just, learning how to relax under pressure and learning how to play your best tennis when it matters most. And at first it's hard, but then it's sort of snowballed. Once you start winning, winning begets winning, and it becomes easier. So, so yeah, that was it. I would say.
And so, how long was it after you started meditating? Because you did mention, like, earlier that, when I said, "Oh, I'm going to meditate after this session," you said you're going to feel a lot better, which is like an immediate effect. But how
Yes,
long did it take for you to, yeah, to feel that difference in your play, where you're like, "Wow, I
I mean
actually feel the
instant.
effects." Instant
Yeah.
too.
So I
Wow.
mean, so I went. It was April of kind of mid-April of '92, and then that was we used to go to Europe right after the Indian Wells, not Indian Wells, Charleston, right? It used to be
Mm,
Amelia Island and Hilton Head, and then
right.
it would go to Europe, and it would be Hamburg, Rome. The guys have Monaco. We have all these tournaments that are leading up to the French Open. So I went from the British Open Center to, I believe it was Rome, and I don't remember how I did in Rome because it wasn't a Grand Slam, but I could probably look it up. But the next Grand Slam that I played was the French, and we won that. And then Wimbledon won that. It was my first Wimbledon title. Um, and uh, then went to the Open and completed the. I think I already won the Open, so I think with Wimbledon I completed the career Grand Slam. Um, no, with Australia I completed the career Grand Slam. So third Grand Slam in a row, and then we ended up winning six in a row. We won Australia, French, Wimbledon. So at some point was holding six Grand Slam trophies in a row.
Mm, it's
Yeah.
nice.
It seems
See,
so
yeah, I
normal
was.
too. I mean, it seems so normal. I'm like, oh, okay. And then, I was winning two or three Grand Slams a year. And the year I won one, it was a disaster and we stopped playing together. It's like,
Oh.
I mean, you have such weird perspective when you're doing that. But looking back, it was like, I don't know. I don't think I realized how unique that was then.
That's good. You're in the moment. But yeah, it looks like I was on your wiki page out of curiosity. It looks like you won Rome in '94 and '95, and then '96 you got to the final. I think that's what it
Okay, yeah.
was.
So I didn't win that year. But I don't even know if we
Three
played.
sets.
I don't remember the first tournament that Natasha and I played. I think we played one lead up tournament to the French and then the French. So, but
Yeah.
it might have been
Oh,
Strasbourg in '92.
yes. I'll have to. Yeah.
We'll
But
never
yeah,
know.
that's. No, you will. Just check your wiki page. There's so
Yeah.
many titles there. Oh gosh, now I need to get back to where we were. So that, yeah, that was a great question. I think, oh yeah, sorry came late and you may have said, but could you repeat
No,
your advice for playing opponent
no, you
worst
can go
seem
back
better?
and listen to it. That's right.
Okay, gotcha. Oh yeah, you could just
Oh, the
rewind.
way.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, that. No, I haven't talked about that. Wait, go back. Uh, Oh, so I didn't talk about this here, but I've talked about it before, which
Oh,
is
okay.
there's three match situations that you face. You're better than your opponent, you're worse than your opponent, you're even with your opponent. So depending on which situation you face, then your level of risk needs to be adjusted. Like how risky do you play and how much chances do you take? If you're better than your opponent, then you don't want to take any chances because you're better, you're going to win. Just play your normal game, and over time you're going to come out the victory, right? If you're worse than your opponent, then you have to take all kinds of chances. You have to hit two first serves, be more aggressive than you are comfortable with, perhaps. You have to bring it to them because they're not going to give it to you, right? You're going to have to win that match from them. And then if you're even with your opponent, then you have to be selective about when you take chances and when you don't take chances. And what I coach players is to not take chances on big points because we know that tennis is a game of errors, like 60 to 70% of points end in an error. So you don't want to be the one making, a silly error on a big point. So don't take any risk on big points. And the big points are, by my calculation, the big points are the first point of any game, because we know that if you win the first point of the game, you have like some crazy percentage higher likelihood of winning that game than if you lose the first point of the game. Um, the fourth point, like 30, 15, 15, 30, 40 left, 40 point, that's a swing point. Obviously, if you're 30, 15, you win that. You're 40, 15. If not, you're 30 all. So that's traditionally a swing point. And of course, any game point. So on the first point, the fourth point, and the game points, you want to play steady Eddie. Don't take any chances and don't take any unnecessary risk.
Hmm. Excellent. Thank you, Gigi. That's great. Uh, let's see, Chris. How did James Lair impact your performance?
Oh, wow. Well, he helped me with my first Grand Slam. So I got to the US Open in '88 and I've been playing for 4 years and I was gonna quit tennis. I'd had it. I started losing and I was having some success, but I had high standards, I guess, and it was not happy with what was happening. So I told I had this dream of being a doctor because there's a lot of doctors in my
Mm.
family. Um, so I was gonna go back to school and call it a day. And my agent says, "Okay, before you do that, why don't you go meet Dr. Jim Lair?" I'm like, "Sure." So I met him the summer leading up to the US Open, and he taught me what to do with the time between points, which I already spoke about. And then the other thing he did, which was brilliant of him, was he asked me if I could act. And I said, "Well, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if I can act, but maybe it's acting in my family." My great uncle was Jose Ferrer, who won an Academy Award in the 50s.
Whoa.
I know, right? So maybe I had like the acting gene. And he says,
Dang.
"Okay, well, I want you to act like you're having fun. I want you to just pretend, and I want you to fool the whole crowd if they watch that girl playing on that court, they wonder, I want, I want those people to think that you're having fun." I'm like, "Sure, I'll give it a try." So go play the first match, trying to pretend like I'm having fun. I win 6-4 in the third. I come off the court and he says, "Do you have any fun?" I'm like, "No." There's 6-4 in the third is stressful. Tennis after 4 all in the third is really stressful. So it's like,
Yeah.
"Okay, we'll do it the next match," and did it, won that, did it the next match, won that, did it the next match, won that. So now we're in the semifinals of the US Open. And we're playing the best team in the history of tennis, male or female. Martina and Navratilova and Pam Shriver, 21 Grand Slams. At this point, they had just finished a 108 match win streak. 108 match win streak.
God.
That's 3 years without losing. And they had just lost at Wimbledon, and now we're playing them at the French. So really, no chance to win, no chance to beat this greatest team in the history of tennis. But guess what? We beat them. And
Mm.
the song at the time was "Don't Worry, Be Happy." We just kept singing that song, my partner and I. "Don't worry, be happy." And then I call off the court, and he says, Dr. Lair says, "Are you having fun now?" I'm like, "You bet I'm having fun. I'm in the finals of the U.S. Open." And then I won. I won the U.S. Open. We won the next match. So I went from thinking that I was going to quit tennis to winning the US Open simply because I tricked my brain into thinking that I was having fun when I was actually not having fun. So
Mm.
that was the first time that I thought, "Oh wow, if I could just control my thoughts, I could maybe have a career at this." So yeah,
Wow.
Jim Lair is an angel in my life.
Wow. Wow, that is so cool.
Yeah.
I'm gonna read his stuff immediately.
Yeah.
Christopher, again, what separated you and Natasha from other doubles teams besides that mindset?
That's a good question. And I think, I can't answer that. It was so unique. I don't know. I
Mhm.
mean, I think we had sick hands. That both of us had the most incredible hands of anybody in our generation. Um, so it was really hard to get the ball past us when we're at the net. And I think we just complemented each other. Like what she was good at, I was not as good at. Was good at, she was not as good at. So like she was a setter, I was a finisher. I had great finishing volleys. She was more like the setter. She had amazing ground strokes, constantly dipping the ball. I hit the ball a little bit flatter and chip. So you're getting different. Like her ball did that, and my chip did the opposite, right? So you were always
Mm.
seeing different things. And I think we really liked each other. I think that was important. A lot of times people get in these partnerships and they start not liking each other or feeling jealousies or feeling like they're doing more than the other. But we were truly a team. We were truly, um, always a team. And we did have a lot of sports psychology help. Like we actually had a coach that
Mm.
made us talk about things, a therapist, so she would sit us down and be like, "Okay, we're hashing this out. Like, what happened there? What happened there?" Um, so I think from the mental part, we had a little edge, and then it snowballed. Now we got this reputation that um, we weren't easy to beat because we started winning matches, being down match point. We won. I think 60% of the Grand Slams we won. At some point, we were down a match point. At some point during the Grand
Mm.
Slam, maybe not 60%, but it seemed like it happened a lot.
A
Like
lot.
we would
Yeah.
get down, and then we just find a way to win. I mean, I think our greatest comeback. We were playing in the championships, and we were down 6-2, 5-1,
Mm.
and I looked at the clock, and it was 12:05 p.m. in the middle of the night, and we should have never
Yeah.
won this match, but we somehow came back and won it, because we just refused to give it away. We refused to give it away. People had to would have to hit a winner on match point. So then it was in people's heads, they're hard to
Mm,
beat. You can't get, you can't finish it. People would get leads but not finish it.
yeah.
So I think that was that. It was like the mental edge that we had then. So
Mm,
adding to the fact that we had the best volleys of anybody out there at that time. If we were there, if we were playing now, we wouldn't be dominating like we are because the ground strokes dominate doubles now,
mm.
right? So it's just a beautiful timing, beautiful timing that we
Yeah,
came in the
yeah. I mean,
'90s and not in the 2000s.
well, I mean, the mentality, I'm sure would have
Yeah.
got you over the line a lot. That's awesome. Lane, I tell my players that volleying is relatively easy. However, the process from getting from the baseline to the net is quite complex. Can you speak to this process?
Yeah, I mean, we talked a little bit about this transition volley, and I think the so I like to divide the court or the positioning in the doubles. Like I tell players, if you're not in the baseline and you're not in the middle of the box, so I have what I call the neutral circle. Like if you stand in the middle of the box and you draw a 6 foot circle around around that sort of service box. When you're not in the box or in the baseline, you're in a positioning error. So while you're traveling from the one to the other, you're going to be in position the other. So if you can hit shots that keep you from being outside those two areas for more than a shot, then you're doing good. Like sometimes you can get from there to there in one, but it's rare. It's difficult. You have to be super fast and you have to hit like a not such a fast ball. Generally, you're gonna have to hit a transition volley. And the key to that transition volley is not overdoing it and not trying to hit a winner. Not trying to finish a point in transition volley. You're just setting up the point. And then doing less with the volley and letting your body transition through for pace and power.
Very, very cool, very cool. And Lane just came out with a new book, "A Tennis Life: Tales from the Ed Court." So, congrats on the release there,
Oh, cool.
Lane. Um, Mary Anna, hey, what did you eat slash drink during a match, and did
Oh,
that
good
change from
question.
season to season? Yeah,
I don't remember that it changed from season to season, but I
filet
would
mignon.
eat filet. Yeah, right. Pasta in Italy. Um,
Ah,
During a match. You don't really eat during a match. I mean, hopefully you're not having to eat during a match because if you're eating during a match, it means you didn't do your homework. Like you didn't properly hydrate
mm,
or properly fuel yourself. Um, but drinking, yes, I used to drink a um, electrolyte replacement drink. It's called Cytomax. I don't know if that's still around.
oh, I've heard of that.
Um,
Yeah, I think it
yeah,
is.
I don't know if it's still around, but that's what was kind of in at the time. There's so many more things now that the players take. Um, so so yeah, but I would try to eat, 3 or 4 hours before the match. So I had 3 or 4 hours to digest. Like you don't want to go into a match with a full stomach, and nothing heavy. Always like light kind of sandwiches, bagels. Um, Maybe if it's pancakes, I had a lot of pancakes because they were high in
Mm,
carbs. Um, what else? Pasta with just kind of olive oil and garlic or butter, not heavy tomato
mm.
sauce or anything like that. So yeah, kind of things like that. And this day and age of protein, like you still got a carb load. You still got a carb load for your matches because you need that fuel.
I just wrote in chat. Now I'm hungry. Thanks, Gigi. Um,
Uh,
that pasta made me hungry. Uh, Arlene, how do you
oh,
improve reflexes?
oh, that's a good one. Easy. Go to the wall with your racket,
Mm,
any wall, and then stand as far back as you need to stand so that you can maintain a rally with the court, with the whatever, with the wall, right? So
the ball. Yeah.
right? So maybe I'm 10 feet from the wall. So it's maybe slow, comes back, slow, comes back. So then once you get good at that, just do 100 of those, then get like 2 feet closer, then get 2 feet closer, and get 2 feet closer,
Mm,
until you're like really close, right? So that's a way. How the way I've developed my reflexes, unbeknownst to my dad or I, when I was a little girl, we used to go on the court, and he used to grab the basket of balls and stand on the service line, and then I would go to the other opposite service line across the net, and he would take the basket of balls and he would try to hit me with the ball. We just started slamming balls at me. So I would just like try to reflex them back so I wouldn't get hit. And then that's kind of how I think I developed my reflexes doing this game with my dad. And then over time he would put targets. It's like, okay, now try to reflex it to over here, try to reflex it to over here. So so yeah, that's how you work on them. And you can also work on your reflexes not on the tennis court. Like there's all kinds of tools that you could use, like um, machines that have lights that come up. So the light comes up and you have to press the light that comes on. Like so you're working on fast reactions. So like you see the light and you touch it. That helps your reflexes because it's the connection between your eyes and your hand, right? That has to get quicker. So so yeah, definitely work on your reflexes with the wall.
Hmm. Really like that. Easy. You don't need anyone with you.
You can do it
Awesome.
in your
Uh,
house, any wall in your house.
yeah, yeah. As long as the person's not sleeping in the next. um,
Yeah, right.
Car- Carol, what is the best way to communicate with your partner if they keep apologizing for every error they make without sounding negative?
Wait, they're
I guess.
You know when people apologize in tennis, you know what I say? Sorry is a board game. There's no s
That's
there's
true.
no sorry and like, you don't have to apologize, like, it's not like you try to miss. I mean, if you
Yeah.
purposely tanked, then you should apologize, but if you if you're missing, I mean, it's just tennis, like, just tell them, "Don't apologize, no need to apologize,"
Yeah, yeah. I think
right?
yesterday, yeah, yeah. I mean, Will Bocek, he said that he would ask his partner, like, why did you do something wrong? Like, whenever they say sorry to him, and then they'll end up saying, you tried, whatever. It's no problem.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly. So
yeah.
what is it that you're apologizing for? That's what you should say, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And then take some
Yeah.
blame yourself. Like, I always like if my person, well, I missed that volley, then I would say, well, I should have put it away too before. Then you wouldn't have to hit that volley, right? Because it's a
Yeah.
team. Why didn't you hit
Right.
that one over there? If you hit it over there, then the ball would have been coming from a different angle, and maybe I would have missed it. So it's actually your fault that I missed it. So you should be apologizing to me, right? So just kind of turn it around.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good strategy. I like that.
Yeah.
Let's see, Vubot. Oh, he was just clarifying a while back. It was 4-0 to 4-5 for
Oh, yeah.
let's see.
That ship sailed. Next
Yeah, no.
subject.
Do top players think about how to get spin on the ball and tell me who
Oh,
is the goat of
um,
tennis?
well, you don't think
Two-parter.
about I that's an easy answer. I'm going to tell you in a minute. But
Okay.
I don't think that players think about hitting spin on the ball. They just do it. Like, I mean, because your stroke, like you're not thinking, oh, I got to put spin on the ball. You just do your stroke and then
Mm-hmm.
spin is generated, right? You come low to high and accelerate and create spin. So yeah, they at some point in their learning, not when they're pros or when they're a top player, but then when they're a little kid, they were learning how to put the spin on the ball.
Mm-hmm.
And the goat of tennis, undeniably, is Martina Navratilova. I mean, she has 64 Grand Slams. 64, 18 in singles. I don't know how many of those in mixed. It's ridiculous. Like the next person
Well,
has, 20. So it's not even an argument. It's not even a debate. Like, yeah,
I forgot
that's
she had
fine.
that many. Oh my gosh.
64 Grand Slams. Yeah,
Six. Wow, that's amazing.
yeah,
Uh, Jamie, what a life. Yep. Gratitude for Gigi. Great life.
it was. It's
Uh,
been great.
yeah. Who are the players that give you the greatest challenge in singles and
Oh,
doubles?
I hated playing
Mm,
Monica Seles. God, I hated it
mm,
because she was the first player
uh,
to hit hard from both sides.
mhm,
Steffi still had the slice backhand, so I actually had good success playing against Steffi because I could
mm,
attack her
mm.
backhand. But Monica hit the ball so hard and then she also stood a foot or two inside the service line or the baseline rather to return serve. So I
Oh,
would hit
wow.
and I was a serve and volleyer,
Mm.
so I would hit my serve and I would take like a step or two, and then the ball was already back. So
Yeah,
I couldn't figure that out. And then doubles, I didn't really no one bothered. I wasn't bothered by playing anybody. And
nice.
that's sounds might sound arrogant, but it was more a mental thing. Like I couldn't be bothered by playing anybody because then they would have the mental edge. So
Mm,
when
smart.
I started playing, Martina was past her prime, so I wasn't bothered by playing her. Yana I
Mm,
lost to a couple times, and she became my partner. I hated Arancha's backhand returns, and I hated playing against Lindsay. But I still beat
Mhm.
them, because or we beat each other, right? It wasn't that I dreaded playing anybody. I just knew that they were going to give me a run for my money.
Yeah, yeah. That's good. Great mentality. Linda, hey, how's it going? Do you have any books or thoughts as to how to relax under pressure? It usually takes me a set to relax and play my normal game. You're the best.
Well, thank you. Yeah, so I talked about meditation. So if you start in a state of meditation, so if you could take 10 minutes and go in the bathroom, or even 5 minutes and go in the bathroom. I used to go in the bathroom stall, like in the toilet, sit in the toilet, and because it was enclosed and quiet and no distractions. Leave your phone in your bag and go in the bathroom and just sit there for 5 or 10 minutes and breathe, and try to start from a relaxed state. So you're not starting from an agitated state. Get to the courts early. A lot of times I see a lot of recreational players running into their
Mm,
matches, like
yeah.
parking with, 5 minutes to go, and they're running in, paying their dues, and like matches called, and they're running into the court. Well, of course you're not going to play well, right? So,
I've never done that.
but
I don't know what you're talking about.
right. It's like you
Eh,
gotta get there, try to get there 30
yeah,
minutes
you.
before and have a little hit. Um,
Mhm.
always, if you don't have a court to warm up, do the dynamic stretching routine, where you go through your whole body, or Google dynamic stretching routine, and do that. It takes 3 minutes to do a dynamic stretching routine. That'll touch every muscle in your body, so you're like at least ready to go from that perspective.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And I know Jim Lair. I don't know if I pronounce his last name, but Jim Lair. He wrote, some books, or at least one book. So that's a book. I don't know if there are any other books you remember reading.
Um,
But
No, nowadays, in our generation, we needed books. Nowadays, you need apps, right? So there's the Calm app, the
yes, I have that.
Headspace app. Those
Yes.
two, yeah, you can use both of those.
Yeah, and they don't just have meditations; they have other things there too. So it's
Yeah.
it's pretty neat
Yeah.
apps. They have free trials and stuff. Let's see. Okay, Gordon. Hey, Gordon. How psychological is
Hi, Gordon
doubles?
from England.
Yes,
Um,
mate.
how varies, like singles is the same, probably more because you have your partner to worry about. You have this other entity there that could be wreaking havoc. Maybe they're having a bad day, you have that to worry about. You don't wanna
Hmm.
let them down. So there's a whole slew of other psychological factors that come into play in those that don't play in singles. So yeah, definitely very psychological.
Yeah, yeah, most definitely. Let's see. N Husky, dog reference? Not sure, but is that? Thank you for doing this. New doubles player here. All right, what are some basic shot combinations we should know? Also, I'm left-handed, partner right-handed, if that matters. Thank you, Uncle
Well,
Brian
first of all, I
Bros.
hope you're playing the do side and your partner's playing the outside, like the modern game. Do you know when that switched? Do you know that the lefties used to play the outside? You know that, right, Merban?
Yeah, yeah, uh-huh,
Back in the day, like Martina played
yeah,
the outside, McEnroe played the outside, the
yeah.
Woodies, and then you know who changed it?
Brian Bros.
The
Uh,
Bryan brothers. They were the
okay.
first righty-lefty combination to put the lefty on the do side, so the forehands were in the middle. And the reason they could do that was technology, because back in the day of kind of wood metal rackets, if I served any lefty out wide, they could never get the return cross court. They're just impossible. So
Mm,
Natasha would poach, you know, forehand volley poach, point over. So that's
mm,
why, I mean, not impossible, but very difficult, right? If I hit a good wide serve, it was really hard for them to flick that. But now with the current technology, racket does all the work, flicks across
yeah,
court.
yeah.
And then patterns, um, basic shot combinations. I mean, I don't think that they change because you're a righty and they're a lefty. Like you just play traditional doubles. Um, I don't, I didn't, I don't know how to answer that because I didn't really use shot combinations. We just kind of played. Um, with doubles, there's a lot of analysis goes on in doubles because you have to kind of see what the point gives you, and you have to see where the other players are standing, right? And the thing with doubles is there's not an obvious opening. In singles, it's very a lot easier to hit winners in singles because you can move the person back and forth eventually you find the opening. But in doubles, there's, two players, and the court's not double the size, right? The court's only um, 9 feet wider, so it's not even a third wider. It's um, but to people there, like if you understand positioning or coverage, you shouldn't really get past. So as doubles players, you're always thinking 2 shots ahead. So I always would think I'm going to hit this one here, so then I'm moving the players there. So then the next time I'm going to hit over
Mm,
here because now they've moved from that position and I've created the hole. So I was looking for the hole. You dink, so they move forward, then you can lob. You hit the alley shot, so the players shift. Now you have the other alley. So always thinking 2 shots ahead.
chess game. Love that. Let's see. I think last question because we're heading towards 12. Hey, Alexei, again, your attitude about hitting to your opponent's body really hard in doubles.
Um, well, Alexei, it depends on what you're doing. If you're playing your club championship and it's all cordial and nice, or are you at the finals of Wimbledon and you're trying to win, $300,000? Or you're trying to get your team to nationals.
Hmm.
It's all fair love and war, right? I mean, you're trying to win. You're not trying to hit them. Hopefully, you're not trying to hit them, but you're just going at them, and that's just part of the game, you know.
Yeah.
As long as you don't try to take the head. Like always objected when people went for my head. If somebody tried to hit me in the head, I had a real problem with that. First of all, you
Yeah.
just get out of the way and the ball goes out. So it's stupid to go at their head because the ball's not going to go in. But then you're really trying to hurt them. Like, I mean, if you're going to their body or to their feet, that's just tennis.
Yeah.
Unless you're doing the right thing.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. When I'm playing mixed, sometimes I'll say, okay, this is a huge point. Like, I probably better chance to win the point if I go at the female player who's also like lower rated. But then I'll try to go for the feet. I don't know, but yeah, I
Yeah,
agree. It's
go
like
for the
especially
feed.
like
Yeah,
in the feet's good. But yeah, I
yeah.
mean when you're trying to win something huge, it's so. Let's see what else. Yeah, I guess
So
that's
let me.
about it. Oh,
As
go ahead.
I
Sorry.
yeah, I was just gonna say something else about Tennis for Hope. Like we're looking for
Yeah.
volunteers. So we're
Hmm.
trying to create a network of people that are passionate about tennis and philanthropy and who want to help people in the tennis community that are affected by natural disasters, which happen all the time. I mean, think about the tsunami in Japan, the fires in Australia, all the natural disasters that we have here, flooding, earthquakes. I mean, people in the tennis community are affected, and so we're trying to create a network of people that kind of care about this, and there's different skill sets that we're looking for. So encourage people, if you don't have the financial resources to donate money, perhaps volunteering would be something you would consider. um, there's a lot of work, obviously. I mean, natural disasters are constantly and ongoing. Actually, tennisforhelp.org, it's a better
Oh,
website.
that's a better one. Okay, let me put that
Yeah,
in.
this is just redirects you to that.
I see. I see.
It's $1,000 membership. It's $1,000 donation once a year for 3 years. That we can get you membership, and that will get you an invitation to an event we're having in Indian Wells. Free tennis, free something fun we're going to do in Indian Wells next year, and so there'll be more kind of member events. I have a great group of some of them who are here who have followed my trajectory and have been coming to my camps and clinics that are committed to this cause. And if you guys have the means, I would really appreciate any donation. If you go for Tennis for Hope, there's you can donate $20 or you can donate $10,000, whatever you can do. Really appreciate it.
Awesome. Yeah, definitely highly encourage you to check out the link I put in the chat, tennisforhope.org.
Yeah,
And yeah, with that, Gigi, thanks so much. Always an honor to have you on the summit and make content
thank
with you.
you.
So thank you so much. All the
See you
best, and
next
hope to
year,
see you soon.
if
Yeah,
not
you too.
sooner.
Yeah,
All right,
hopefully sooner. Take
all right.
care.
Take
Thanks,
care.
everyone. Bye.
Bye.